The space here is defined by its boundaries. To the left, the textured brick of the home rises upward, a steady and familiar presence that marks the edge of the domestic world. To the right, a tall wooden fence stands in quiet sentinel, weathered by seasons and holding the world at bay. Between these two vertical planes, a narrow path of stone stretches forward, though it does not go far. It is a space of measured steps and slow observation. The light here is indirect, caught in the high canopy of unseen trees and allowed to drift down in soft, muted patches. It settles on the moss that has claimed the gaps between the paving stones, a vibrant, velvet green that thrives in the damp stillness of the morning. There is no sound here other than the imagined weight of the air resting on the leaves. The ferns do not stir. They lean inward, their delicate fronds brushing against the brickwork, softening the transition from architecture to earth. It is a corridor of quietude, a place where the scale of the world is reduced to the length of a few footfalls. Nothing is demanded of this space. It exists simply to be moved through slowly, or perhaps not moved through at all, but merely watched as the light shifts its position by inches over the course of an hour. The enclosure provides a sense of absolute safety, a containment that allows the mind to settle. Here, the garden is not a destination but a breath held in anticipation of nothing in particular. Every surface is coated in a thin layer of moisture, a remnant of the night that lingers in the shadows. The air is cool and heavy with the scent of damp stone and earth. It is a corner of the home that asks for nothing and offers only the chance to stand still within its narrow, green embrace. In this small, square sanctuary, the world feels distant and secondary. The walls are high and pale, reflecting the brightness of the day without the glare of direct sun. They create a clean, white frame for the life that grows within. Below, the floor is a mosaic of cool gray stone, each slab fitted precisely against its neighbor. The shadows are the only things that move here, and even they move with a glacial patience. They trace the intricate skeletal patterns of the vines that cling to the walls, casting dark silhouettes that stretch across the ground as the sun makes its slow transit across the sky. In the corner, a wooden bench sits in waiting. It is silvered by age, its grain standing out in sharp relief. It is positioned to look inward, away from the house and toward the center of this small, contained universe. There is a profound sense of privacy here, a feeling that this courtyard is a secret kept by the house itself. The air is still, trapped by the four walls and warmed by the stone. It feels like a vessel for silence. To be here is to be held in a quiet grip, removed from the rush of the street or the noise of the neighborhood. The plants do not compete for space. They occupy their narrow beds with a disciplined grace, their leaves resting flat against the masonry. There is no wind to disturb the composition. Everything is placed with a sense of permanence, as if the garden has reached a state of perfect equilibrium. It is a room without a ceiling, a domestic space that has surrendered itself entirely to the slow, steady rhythm of the natural light. The view is framed by the threshold of the home, a thin pane of glass acting as the only barrier between the interior warmth and the cool, structured air of the patio. Outside, the space is compact, almost miniature in its proportions, yet it feels complete. A dark metal table and a single chair stand on the dark tiles, their thin legs casting long, thin shadows. They are not in use, but their presence suggests a moment of pause that has just occurred or is about to happen. Around them, the greenery is contained in heavy terracotta pots. Boxwood spheres, clipped with obsessive care, sit like green stones of various sizes, their surfaces catching the light in 1,000 tiny points. The reflection in the glass door shows the upper windows of the house, a ghost-like overlay of the architecture onto the garden. This layering creates a sense of depth in a space that is physically shallow. The garden feels like an extension of the living room, a quiet outdoor chamber where the walls are made of brick and the carpet is made of stone. There is a deep stillness in the air. The light is soft and diffuse, suggesting a late afternoon where the heat has begun to fade. Nothing moves. The boxwoods do not sway. The chair does not shift. It is a tableau of domestic order, a small slice of the world that has been mastered and hushed. The tight enclosure ensures that every detail is visible, every texture of the leaf and grain of the stone brought into sharp focus. It is a place of profound intimacy, where the scale is human and the atmosphere is one of absolute, unblinking calm. The path is narrow, barely wide enough for a single person to walk without brushing against the low, clipped hedges that border it. The gravel is a pale, sandy color, each small stone nestled against the next, forming a textured surface that crunches silently in the mind. The hedges are a deep, saturated green, their leaves small and tightly packed, creating a firm boundary that keeps the path in check. At the end of this short journey, a wooden gate stands closed. It is simple in design, its vertical slats allowing only slivers of light to pass through from whatever lies beyond. But the focus is here, within the corridor itself. The shadows of overhead branches stretch across the gravel, creating a shifting map of dark and light. These shadows are soft-edged and blue-toned, cooling the warmth of the sun-drenched stones. The perspective is compressed, making the gate feel closer than it is, heightening the sense of enclosure. There is a feeling of being tucked away, hidden within the folds of the residential landscape. The air is thick with the scent of sun-warmed boxwood and dry earth. No birds fly across the frame. No wind disturbs the dust. The stillness is absolute, a deliberate pause in the middle of the day. The garden does not open up. It folds inward, inviting a focus on the immediate surroundings. The smallness of the scale is its greatest strength, turning a simple walkway into a profound experience of presence. It is a space that exists between 2 points, a transition that has become a destination in its own right, defined by the quiet height of the hedges and the finality of the gate. In a dark corner where the shadows linger longest, a stone basin sits low to the ground. It is carved from a single block of gray granite, its edges rough and unpolished, while the interior is smooth and hollowed out. Inside, the water is a dark mirror. It does not ripple, it does not flow. It simply holds the reflection of the sky above, a patch of pale blue and a fragment of a white cloud trapped within the stone rim. The background is a wall of dark slate, the thin layers of stone stacked horizontally, creating a rhythmic pattern of shadow and line. On the ground around the basin, a few leaves have fallen. They are dry and curled, their brown and ochre tones contrasting with the cool gray of the stone. They lie exactly where they landed, undisturbed by any breeze. The scene is one of extreme stillness, a moment where time seems to have slowed to a crawl. The light is dim here, filtered through the layers of the garden, hitting only the surface of the water and the edge of the basin. It is a quiet focal point, a place for the eyes to rest and stay. The scale is intimate, focusing on a single detail that represents the calm of the entire garden. There is no movement in the water, no insects skimming the surface, no drops falling from above. It is a study in stasis. The heavy weight of the stone and the silent depth of the water create a sense of grounding. This is the heart of the enclosure, a small, dark anchor that holds the rest of the garden in place. The silence here is not empty. It is full of the weight of the stone and the coolness of the water. The terrace is a platform of dark, weathered wood, the planks running parallel to the house, drawing the eye along its length. It is a small space, but it feels expansive because of how it is bounded. Along the edge, a row of tall bamboo stands in sleek black planters. The bamboo stalks are thin and golden, rising up to create a living screen that trembles only in the imagination. The leaves are a bright, translucent green, catching the sunlight and turning it into a soft, emerald glow. This screen of plants creates a sense of seclusion, a wall of light and texture that separates the terrace from the world beyond. The sunlight hits the decking in long, slanted bars, highlighting the grain of the wood and the thin gaps between the boards. The air is warm and still. There is a sense of verticality here, of the garden reaching upward because it cannot expand outward. The black planters provide a heavy, modern base for the airy lightness of the bamboo. It is a contrast of weight and weightlessness. The garden feels elevated, a private stage where the only performance is the slow movement of the sun. There are no chairs here, no tables, just the empty expanse of the wood and the rhythmic line of the plants. The enclosure is vertical and green, a rustling wall that filters the wind and the noise of the outside. It is a place of transit that feels like a destination, a small wooden island in a sea of green. The stillness is punctuated only by the visual rhythm of the bamboo stalks, a steady, silent beat that grounds the space in a quiet, domestic peace. Against the warm, reddish-brown bricks of the house, a small garden bed overflows with a quiet abundance. The lavender is a haze of dusty purple, its spikes leaning toward the light, while the white roses are heavy and full, their petals beginning to unfurl in the warmth of the afternoon. The colors are muted, softened by the hazy light that washes over the scene. On the dark earth between the plants, an old terracotta pot lies on its side, a fragment of the past that has been left to become part of the landscape. Its surface is dusted with white minerals and a thin film of green algae, a testament to the passage of time. The light is golden and low, casting long, soft shadows that stretch across the brickwork. The air is still, and the scent of the lavender and roses hangs heavy and sweet in the enclosure. This is a corner of the garden that feels lived in and deeply personal. It is not a display. It is a conversation between the plants and the house. The scale is small, just a few square feet of earth, but it feels like a complete world. The textures are rich, rough brick, the velvet petals, the dry terracotta, and the crumbly soil. Everything is at rest. The roses do not drop their petals. The lavender does not sway. It is a moment of peak summer caught in a state of eternal pause. The enclosure of the wall provides a backdrop that feels solid and protective, a mountain of brick that shelters this delicate life. The silence is profound, a warm, floral-scented quiet that fills the small space between the plants and the home. In this narrow side yard, the garden has climbed the walls. A vertical system of wooden pockets is attached to the fence, each one overflowing with a different texture of green. There are fleshy succulents with blue-gray leaves and delicate ferns that spill downward like green water. This wall of plants turns the narrow passage into a lush canyon, a space that feels much deeper than it is. On the ground, rectangular concrete pavers are set into a bed of dark gray stones. They create a clean, geometric path that leads the eye toward the back of the house. The light is bright and even, reflecting off the gray concrete and the green leaves. The space is tight, a functional area transformed into a place of quiet beauty. The fence is high, blocking out any view of the neighbors and creating a private green corridor. There is a sense of efficiency and care here, of every inch of space being valued. The air is cool in the shadows of the fence. No wind reaches into this narrow gap, so the plants are perfectly still. The vertical garden creates a rhythmic pattern that draws the eye up and down, making the small space feel tall and airy. It is a quiet, hidden part of the home, a place where the green world is held close to the architecture. The stillness is absolute, a silence that is felt in the steady growth of the plants and the permanence of the concrete path. It is a domestic landscape reduced to its essentials: light, stone, and the persistent climb of the greenery. At the center of this small, enclosed backyard stands a single olive tree. Its trunk is gnarled and silver, and its leaves are a soft, dusty green that catches the light and holds it. The tree is planted in a large, circular stone basin that also serves as a bench. This stone ring is cool and smooth, its surface dappled with the shadows of the olive leaves. The shadows move only with the slow progress of the sun, creating a living pattern on the gray stone. Around the central feature, the garden is simply a few more stone pavers, a low hedge, and the high walls of the house. The enclosure is complete, making the tree feel like the guardian of a sacred space. The light is soft, suggesting a quiet time of day when the world has begun to settle. The air is still, and the scent of dry leaves and warm stone is faint but present. There is a sense of timelessness here, as if the tree and the stone have always been part of this small domestic square. The scale is intimate, designed for a single person to sit and look up into the branches. The garden does not strive for attention. It offers a place to simply be. The stillness is profound, a quiet that is anchored by the weight of the stone and the steady presence of the tree. Every leaf is in its place. Every shadow is a deliberate mark on the ground. It is a masterpiece of small-scale design, a place where the boundaries of the home expand just enough to include a piece of the ancient, silver-green world. On this small, sheltered porch, the history of the garden is visible in the objects that occupy it. A collection of antique watering cans, made of galvanized steel and copper, sits in a quiet row. They are dented and weathered, their surfaces dull with age. Beside them, a few empty terracotta pots are stacked neatly, their orange hue glowing in the soft morning light. Above the doorway, a single climbing rose has made its way across the lintel, its small, pale pink flowers hanging down like ornaments. The light is gentle, coming from the side and highlighting the textures of the metal and the stone. The space is small and functional, yet it possesses a quiet, rhythmic beauty. It is a place of preparation and memory, a corner where the work of the garden is paused. The air is cool and still, and the only sound is the silent growth of the rose. The enclosure of the porch creates a frame for these simple objects, elevating them into a still life. There is a profound sense of peace here, a feeling that everything is exactly where it belongs. The scale is human and intimate, focusing on the details of daily life in a small garden. The stillness is absolute, a quiet that is felt in the weight of the metal cans and the delicate hang of the rosebuds. It is a domestic moment held in a state of grace, a small, quiet prelude to the rest of the day. The path is a mosaic of old, red bricks, laid long ago in a careful herringbone pattern. Time has softened the edges of the bricks and allowed the earth to rise between them. Now, the gaps are filled with low-growing thyme and vibrant green moss, creating a carpet of texture that smells faintly of herbs when the sun hits it. The path is narrow, winding slightly through the small garden toward a simple wooden bench at the far end. The bench is silvered by the weather, its backrest disappearing into the shadows of a large shrub. The light is dappled, filtered through the leaves of a tree that hangs over the path, creating a shifting map of light and dark on the bricks. The space feels ancient and settled, a small piece of land that has been allowed to age gracefully. The enclosure of the surrounding hedges makes the path feel like a secret passage. There is no movement here, only the slow, silent growth of the time. The air is warm and still, and the quiet is so deep that it feels like a physical presence. The scale is small, but the detail is infinite texture of the moss, the grain of the wood, the subtle colors of the bricks. It is a place for slow walking and long silences, a domestic retreat that feels miles away from the rest of the world. The stillness is absolute, a quiet that is anchored by the weight of the bricks and the steady, herbal scent of the path. In the center of this small, shaded garden, a tiny pond is tucked away. The water is a deep, dark green, almost black in the shadows, and its surface is perfectly flat. A single lily pad floats in the center. Its bright green circular form a sharp contrast to the dark water. The background is a wall of old stone, its surface almost entirely hidden by a thick curtain of dark green ivy. The ivy leaves are small and shiny, overlapping each other to create a wall of texture. The light is dim, coming from above and hitting only the surface of the pond and the tops of the ivy leaves. There is no movement in the water, no ripples to disturb the reflection of the stones. The air is cool and damp, and the silence is profound. The scale is miniature, a small world of water and stone that feels complete in itself. The enclosure of the ivy-covered wall creates a sense of absolute privacy and stillness. This is a place where the world stops, a small dark mirror that holds the quiet of the entire garden. The stillness is felt in the weight of the water and the thickness of the ivy. Every detail is sharp and clothed veins on the lily pad, the cracks in the stone, the tiny stems of the ivy. It is a study in quietude, a small, dark anchor for the mind. The gate is a work of delicate wrought iron, its black bars curved into elegant swirls and points. It is nearly hidden by a thick growth of white jasmine, the small, star-shaped flowers filling the air with a sweet, heavy scent. Through the bars of the gate, there is a glimpse of a small, perfectly manicured lawn, its green surface glowing in the soft light. The space is small and enclosed, a secret garden hidden behind a screen of flowers. The light is gentle, coming from the side and highlighting the delicate forms of the jasmine and the solid iron of the gate. There is no movement here, only the silent presence of the flowers and the steady weight of the metal. The air is warm and still, and the quiet is deep and peaceful. The scale is intimate, a small threshold that marks the boundary between two worlds. The enclosure of the jasmine-covered fence creates a sense of absolute privacy. This is a place of transition that has been turned into a destination, a small, beautiful gate that leads nowhere and everywhere. The stillness is absolute, a quiet that is felt in the scent of the flowers and the coldness of the iron. Every detail is perfect, tiny petals of the jasmine, the rust on the iron, the soft green of the lawn beyond. It is a domestic masterpiece of quiet beauty. On a small, shaded terrace, a simple garden table and 2 chairs are set for a moment of quiet. The table is covered with a white linen cloth, its surface dappled with the shadows of leaves from an overhead tree. A single cup of tea sits on the table, its surface calm and still. The chairs are made of light-colored wood, their simple forms adding to the sense of peace. The space is small and enclosed by high hedges, creating a private room in the middle of the garden. The light is soft and diffuse, suggesting a quiet afternoon when the heat has begun to fade. There is no movement here, only the slow shift of the shadows on the cloth. The air is warm and still, and the silence is deep and restful. The scale is human and intimate, a place for quiet thought and slow observation. The enclosure of the hedges provides a sense of safety and containment. This is a moment of domestic calm, a small slice of time that has been allowed to stand still. The stillness is felt in the weight of the cup, the texture of the linen, and the steady presence of the trees. Every detail is sharp and clear, steam rising from the cup, the grain of the wood, the patterns of the shadows. It is a study in presence and pause. As the day comes to an end, the small garden is filled with a soft blue light. A few small lanterns, hanging from the branches of a tree, begin to glow with a warm amber light. In the background, the windows of the house are lit from within, their warm glow reflecting off the surfaces of the garden. The space is small and enclosed, a peaceful sanctuary that feels safe and protected. The light is gentle and fading, creating a sense of quiet and rest. There is no movement here, only the slow deepening of the shadows and the steady glow of the lights. The air is cool and still, and the silence is profound. The scale is intimate, a small world of light and shadow that feels complete and perfect. The enclosure of the house and the hedges creates a sense of absolute privacy and peace. This is the end of the day, a moment of final pause before the world goes to sleep. The stillness is felt in the weight of the air, the glow of the lights, and the steady presence of the house. Every detail is sharp and clear, the texture of the leaves, the glow of the lanterns, the reflection in the windows. It is a final masterpiece of quiet, domestic beauty.